Hey there, comic book friends. I'm Travis. It's time for another edition of Monster Comic Reviews. So let's talk some books. These are books for the week of July 9th, 2014, I believe. We're going to start right out with Batgirl. Issue number 33. We basically get the makings of a small slice of Birds of Prey with Huntress being involved in this issue. We get the typical hero brawl at the beginning because they don't know who's heroes and who's not. That's a little odd. I mean, they talk about in here about how Batgirl's off her game because she's so things have gotten so intense and whatnot that she's just kind of raging. But it still seems way out of character for her. I mean, they say it's out of character for her, but it still really feels way out of character for her. So that's kind of odd. But it's great to see them grouped together. And we got this battle moving forward in this book. I think next issue is actually the last Gail Simone Batgirl issue. Then we're going to get the Future's End issue, which maybe she's writing that one too. And then we'll hit issue 35, and 35 is the new creative team and the new direction for a new look for Batgirl. Which I am looking forward to. That'll be interesting. Looking to explore where that goes and whatnot. Maybe I'll get my teenage daughter to sit down and talk Batgirl at that point with me. She seems to be interested in the new Batgirl. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, really enjoyable issue. You know, as always, reasonably strong story by Gail. Curious to see how this all gets tied up and how many loose ends kind of get left dangling out there. We'll be really curious. Batman Eternal, issue number 14. Great cover by Dustin Nguyen here. This is another James Tynion issue. We get Gordon deciding whether or not how he's going to deal with this information that he has, that he could actually walk free, has a conversation with Batman. That part's interesting. The really most interesting thing about this issue is Batman goes to Lieutenant Bard and goes, "Hey, I think you're like you're my next ally. You're the next Jim Gordon." But, and we find out that that Lieutenant Bard's gray line as to what's right and wrong is much fuzzier than Batman's, and Batman doesn't agree with it, and he'll go to more extremes to get ultimately what he needs done. So that's interesting. I'm really curious to see how that part plays out as far as that stuff goes. We get a little more dynamics between Red Robin and Harper. We're going to get to see where that goes maybe at some point. I think the next issues of this, we move more back into the storyline that we haven't really heard much about from, except for very briefly, holy cows, I'm drawing a blank. The Spectre and not Nightwing, Batwing. Curious to see where that's going to go. I think that's what's coming next. We're going to get some of those storylines. As I think going forward, this is going to progressively be, you know, 3 or 4 issues of one main writer writing the script, telling their parts of the story, and just briefly touching on the other parts, and then the next person taking over for a while, and the next person taking over for a while. So we're still really enjoying the weekly book. That's been fun. Detective Comics issue number 33. I'm going to continue to say the same things I have said about this since this team has gotten on the book. The story itself is just okay. There's nothing special about it to me. It just seems very average. Nothing exceptional, nothing that really grasps me and whatnot. Some of the art is really beautiful in it, and some of the art is not so good, as I keep saying. I love some of the scenes where it's, you know, just more scenery and him and Batman being there. Those are some really great points. I don't think the actual combat that is drawn in the book is that strong. I think it's fairly weak as far as it being dynamic. Colors, of course, are really strong in it, and like I said, the more scenery shots, the Batman, you know, standing on the gargoyle looking out across the city, those are always gorgeous. But, you know, okay. New book picked up, Grayson, issue number 1. This wonderful pink cover here. Actually, pretty much enjoyed this first issue. It was a fun introduction to potentially what we might get out of Dick Grayson. I'm not really excited by the end of the book. The end of the book, there's yet more people who know who Batman is, which frustrates me long-term situations. But of course, that's why Grayson's there. He's there to try and figure out who this is and break that and whatnot. We get some interaction with the new Huntress, Helena Bertinelli. So I'm excited for that. I'm interested to see where that goes going forward. But yeah, it was okay. It was enjoyable. I'm on board for at least the first arc just to see where it goes, and of course the art in it always wins me over. With Michael Jannon's art, always gorgeous. Spear of Foes of Spider-Man, issue number 13. Just a fun read. This is a fun book. The gags never end in it. It's just humorous. It's fun how awkward and uncomfortable these D-list villains can be in the situations they can get themselves into, and their ideas of how to get themselves out are just hilarious. It's just a funny book. Funny book. We're going to see a lot more about it, but it's fun. And finally, the rebooted new, so I'm assuming that's the full title, new Suicide Squad, issue number 1. And this was not a good issue. The dialogue was clunky in places. It felt very unnecessary in a lot of other ways. There's some characters in here. The person who's in charge of the Suicide Squad, Over Waller, I don't know if they're writing him as being the joke that he is on purpose because he's actually going to be more than that, or he really is that shallow and vacant of a boss. This guy who's transferred over from the Treasury Department to suddenly be in charge of, of this crazy team, Task Force X, that he wants to refer to as, I think, Task Force XL. Horrible. So, yeah, pretty depressing, pretty much a bummer. I don't know. I sincerely doubt I'm going to order this book going forward, but we'll see. We'll give it another issue at least, but not excited by that. Anyway, quick talk about the books. Trying to keep these shorter so people will watch, maybe. Anyway, have a great one. See you later.